Hi Capricorns, happy birthday and welcome to your January 2019 Tarology 33 reading. We have a Celtic cross spread in front of us. It's normally a 10 card spread. But you got a couple extra cards, and then we have an oracle card as always that we read at the end to help tie everything together. And there's also a couple of new things I'm going to be introducing this month, but we'll get to those at the end. So let's go through the cards one by one, starting with the main situation. And we have the Lovers. So this is the major arcana card for Gemini. So it's certainly a possibility that some of you could be dealing with a Gemini. The more basic level though, this could just mean that you have a love relationship that you're considering. Either it's a newly started relationship, I feel, or you're thinking about starting it. If that's the case, it looks like it's a pretty auspicious beginning. And the thing is too, the North Node actually recently moved into Cancer, which is your opposite sign, which is your house of relationships. So it wouldn't at all be surprising to see, a brand new relationship enter into your life at this time that would be beneficial to you. So that's the main vibe that I'm getting with that there. And this is one that doesn't seem to have that toxic element to it as far as, if we look at the Devil card, for example, it looks very similar, except the two people are chained up. So it's almost like, there's that karmic pull keeping them together, whereas these people are free to go wherever they want, as you could see. And to me, that usually points to the relationship being a lot more healthy in that regard. And, in a more basic sense, sometimes the Gemini, with this being a Gemini card, sometimes it just represents duality in general, which could mean, trying to decide between two different paths. So that's certainly a possibility as well. We'll see as we go along exactly how this is going to play out, though. In the Challenger obstacle position, we have the Queen of Swords. So this is actually a court card for Libra, and Libra is actually your 10th house, which is the house that Capricorns naturally rule, but it's also a house of career and social status. So for this to show up in the Challenger obstacle position, this could be that person, for example. So since this was a Gemini card, even though this is normally the Libra card for me, it could be any air sign. So let's say, for example, that there is a Gemini that you're interested in, you want to get things off the ground with them, but maybe they're the ones that are holding things up right now, right? Maybe they're unsure if they want to pursue it, or maybe something about them makes you feel a bit uneasy, so you're unsure if you want to move forward with them. That's another way that could play out. But energetically, like I said, given that this does represent your 10th house, if we view it as a Libra card, this could just be saying in a more basic sense, right now you're trying to balance out your career life with your love life, and, you guys are known for being pretty career focused a lot of the time. So maybe that's what it is, especially now with the North Node moving into your 7th house, you might have more of a urge to get into a relationship, but maybe you're trying to figure out, okay, how can I do this and still keep that focus on my career life that I want, right? And then in the foundation position, what was interesting to me is we have the 9 of Cups, and it came out exactly this way. So it didn't come out reversed, it didn't come out upright, it actually fell out right in that position. So to me, normally the generic meaning of the 9 of Cups is the wish card. Another way that you could view this card is contentment. Not necessarily saying that you have your wish, right? That usually that's more seen as the 10 of Cups is the true wish fulfillment. But the 9 of Cups is usually more that energy of contentment, being happy with what you do have. And, they say that usually being in that attitude can bring more good things your way. When you're actually grateful and content with what you already have, that leaves you open for more abundance to come your way. So with this in the position it came out in, that tells me that, you might be a bit unsure as exactly what you do want. Again, if this is like a trying to decide between two different paths, for example, or trying to say, well, do I want to get into a relationship and maybe end up having to sacrifice some of the focus I'm putting toward my career, so you could just be on the fence. And again, if it's an air sign potentially that's making an offer to you, you might be on the fence, well, maybe this is what I want, but I'm not 100% sure, right? And if that's the case, in the past position, we have the Page of Swords. And, the way I always describe the pages, it's in the upright, so I don't think it's necessarily, it would be a bad person or false communication. But, you look at them, I get the vibe of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. If we look at their stance, right, they're holding the sword, but do they look fully confident with it? So, to me, sometimes this could represent someone might communicate to you in some way, but they might be a little bit iffy about it themselves. Maybe it's just a confidence issue more than anything. If we look at the Queen of Swords in comparison, she has a firm grasp on the sword there and doesn't seem to be wavering, right? Has her hand pointed out in the direction moving forward. Seems to just be a bit more comfortable with the energy. Whereas this person looks like it might be the first time they ever held the sword, right? Like they have that weird stance going on. They're kind of holding on to it, but they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. So this could just be what this is. And if that's the case, actually, the last time I looked at this card, I was doing a personal reading, and I was looking at it looks like trees there, but then it was interesting to me how it popped up. It looks a lot like the Facebook F if you look at that symbol. So that was interesting too. So this could have been maybe someone reached out to you in the past via Facebook. So again, if it's that love interest, maybe they sent you a Facebook message and you're like, really? Is that really how you're going to make an offer to me? So maybe that was kind of what threw you off about everything. But if that is the connection we have there, the fact that the sword is pointing right towards the Page of Swords and then the hand is pointing here, makes me think that there could be a connection here, which is saying that in the present position, we have the Chariot, which is actually a major arcana card for Cancer, by the way. And again, that points to your 7th house and the fact that the North Node is there right now. We have the Ace of Cups. And then we also have the 10 of Swords. So this led me to think a couple of things. It could be that you have, maybe you're in one relationship, you're unsure if it's really the relationship for you, and you have a thought of potentially leaving that one and going towards another relationship. Given that this is the Libra card, and as I said, it represents your 10th house too, this could be saying, for example, some of you might be considering getting divorced. And maybe it's because you found a new relationship partner. That's certainly a possibility. I have to put that out there. But yeah, on a more simple basis, it could just be that someone made an offer to you or vice versa to move forward, right, with the Ace of Cups energy there. And that would require you to, potentially end something if you're already in a relationship. Or if you don't feel like that is the thing that you want to do, you'd have to decline their offer, which could make them feel like this. But I'm really starting to get a vibe just with some of these cards having that duality theme to them. I mean, Libra is the scales, for example, so you have the duality with that. The Lovers, obviously, we see the duality in that card. With the Chariot, we see the duality in that card as well. So for a lot of you, I'm feeling like this is really, you're either in a relationship right now that you want to leave and start a new one, or just trying to decide, staying single versus getting in a relationship because maybe you have concerns that it might halt your progress in your career. Now, in the near future position, we have the 10 of Pentacles. So, this represents stability, usually financial success, but it's just stability in general. But usually this is viewed as a good card, and normally I view it as a good card as well. But depending on the circumstances, I also do offer a cautionary angle with this card too. And that would be, if you look at this person, there's two ways we could see this person in relation to these people. You could view this as maybe this is one of their fathers, right? And then that's their grandchild, and it's just a family being together, right? Another way of looking at it, though, is this could be someone who might have acquired those 10 pentacles, right? Because they just focused so heavily on their career, and that was really all they put their energy towards. And now, they're at that age and they're looking back on the what ifs, right? Because if we look at their facial expression, that's another way that I could see it, where they're like, well, I dedicated my whole life to my career, and yes, I get this financial success. I got everything that I wanted on a material level, but what if, what if I had allowed love into my life, right? What if I had made room for that? What would my life have been like then? So you guys would know if that resonates for you or not, but like I said, that whenever, depending on the cards around it, that's usually what will make me throw that message out there. But for others of you, this could be exactly what you're wanting as far as the financial success that you would seek. And like I said, just stability in general. Usually you think of finances first because it is pentacles, but it does represent just a feeling of stability in general. Now, in the position of your influence on the situation, we have the Seven of Cups. So to me, this represents just confusion. So again, like I said, this is another thing that points me in the direction of you trying to decide between two things, whether it's two different relationships, or staying single and putting more focus on career, or trying to find a way to work a relationship into your life, right? That's another way it could play out. But there definitely seems to be a duality there. There's two different paths you can consider. And when I look at this card, the way I always describe this card is, for us, right? The way we're looking at the card right now, we can clearly see what's in these cups. See, all right, I see everything clearly. But if you look at this person, they're completely in the dark, right? So they might not be seeing these things as clearly, which would make it harder for them to decide if they want, which of those cups they want, if any, right? So this could just be saying that you're not seeing things very clearly. Jupiter recently moved into your 12th house, so that could expand those 12th house energies, and sometimes 12th house energy can represent some self-deception and being your own worst enemy in some ways. So even though Jupiter is normally seen as very positive energy, it's not just about luck, but it's also just expansion in general. So unfortunately, it can expand some of the negative traits of things a bit more too. So this could just have you in a bit of a fog in that regard. Good news is, if that's the case, in the position of the environment, we have the sun. So to me, we could read this in a more simple sense, which is to say the sun is going to be in your sign for the first 20 or so days of the month, right? That's the most basic way we could look at it. Another way that I could view this, though, is that things will come to light for you, basically. So, this mental fog you're in, right? Being unable to decide between two options potentially, with the sun and the environment, that says to me that things will come to light. You guys actually will have a partial solar eclipse in your sign too, the first week, like towards the end of the first week of January, and it's going to be pretty close to Saturn, which is in your sign as well. And it's going to have Saturn a few degrees behind it, and then it's going to be a few degrees away from Pluto as well on the other side of it. So could be a pretty potent eclipse, even though it's not a full solar eclipse. And you guys are going to have these eclipses going on in your sign and Cancer, your opposite sign, for about 18 months or so. So this is just going to be an important time for you with your ruler back in your sign, which only happens every 28 and a half years or so. So that's pretty rare. Whereas let's say a Gemini, their ruler comes into their sign every year. Same with Virgo or Taurus, Libra, some obviously Leo. Cancers, the moon returns to their sign every month. So, for you guys to have your ruler come back into your sign, it's pretty rare. And between that and the nodes being in your sign and opposite sign as well, that's going to be, a pretty important time period for you guys this next year and a half or so. But yeah, this, like I said, the most basic level, yes, you're going to have that eclipse in your sign, and that could be what brings things to light. Maybe that'll bring you out of that fog you're in. And, people, you've heard it everywhere at this point, I'm sure. There was just so many retrogrades, one on top of the other this year, where, we're used to those energies as far as we always, get Mercury retrograde a few times a year, Venus every year and a half or so, Mars every couple of years. But the way they were just stacked on top of each other like that, back to back to back to back, that was a bit rare. So, people in general could be feeling like they were just in a fog for a while, and January could really pull you out of that. And no better time for that than when that eclipse comes, like I said, especially with the relationship it's going to have with Saturn, which is your ruler. So that's going to be a pretty important one for you. So if you're feeling in a fog coming into the month, don't worry about it. It should clear up for you fairly soon thereafter. It's at the time I'm recording this too, we're just about to have a full moon in Cancer, which is your opposite sign. So, that also could help bring some things to light. So, by the middle of January, most likely, you'll have a pretty good idea of which way you want to move forward. And maybe that's what this in the near future position is representing too. Stability meaning not necessarily financial stability. Yes, it could be, but just stability as far as your position. You might feel like you're on more firm footing and more sure of yourself at that point. That could be what this is pointing to. Especially like we said, the past energy, if this represents you, maybe you're feeling a little unsure of yourself right now. And then, okay, you get the energy going there with that Cancer full moon, right? Moving forward, you're going to have that eclipse, and now you feel a lot more sure of your direction. That's certainly a possibility. In the hopes or fears position, we have the Page of Wands in reverse. So, to me, this just represents, again, this is most likely going to be you, and I would say this is more of a fear than a hope, since it came up in reverse, and it could just be that you fear taking action right now. And, we could see why, right? If there's two definite options on the table, you're unsure with that Nine of Cups coming out sideways, which way you want to go with it, right? Totally makes sense if that's how you're feeling. The Ace of Wands is at the bottom of the deck too, where you might feel that urge to do something, but you're a little gun shy maybe, And if that's the case, that's fine. January as a whole is going to be probably the month with the most clarity that we've all had as a collective in a long time. And, like I said, with the eclipse energy for you, it could really, really kick in for you. So, if you're stepping into the new year feeling a little bit more unsure of yourself, because this isn't your type of energy normally, that Seven of Cups, You guys usually pretty steady, stable, know what you're doing. You're always moving forward. So that's how you're feeling. It looks like you'll kick out of that fog towards the middle of the month, or maybe even a little sooner than that. And in the outcome position, we have another reversed card, and that's the Tower. So, to me, if you're going to get the Tower, it is best to get it in reverse. The way I explain it is, if we just look at it from the most basic sense, right? People are falling. If it's in the upright, clearly they're falling. That doesn't look very comfortable, and doesn't look like it would be a smooth landing for them. And in the reverse, basically the same thing, right? They're still flying through the air, falling, but the way I say it, if we just look at it symbolically, it's like, all right, well, at least you have a better chance of landing on your feet this way, right? So to me, this could represent something that lacks stability being taken from your life. If we look at it in the upright again, just to draw the point of the artwork, this lightning bolt here is usually seen as divine intervention. If you think about it structurally, right? You wouldn't think a tower like this, a single lightning bolt would cause that much damage, right? So usually this is pointing to something that doesn't have the stability that it seemed to have. And maybe that's what that energy is about too. And with the Tower in reverse, maybe it's saying that with this eclipse energy, things are going to be brought out into the open for you to see things exactly how they are. So basically, to bring you out of that Seven of Cups energy, where you might be seeing things unclearly and thinking, oh yeah, this is totally stable, when it's not nearly as stable as you thought, right? Maybe the eclipse energies are going to be what kicks in for you and lets you see things exactly how they are. That's certainly a way it could play out. What I usually tell people when the Tower card does appear is, pick up some black tourmaline for protection just to be safe. It's pretty cheap to pick up, and the reason I say that is if you look at the texture of some black tourmaline, it actually reminds me of the Tower here. So just a thought there. All right, and we'll move on to the Oracle cards now and see what they can add to this reading for us. So the first one we have is All That Glitters. There's the artwork for it. And then it's number 16, if that has any significance for you. I'll read the messages for that. Okay, it says essential meanings. A need to see beyond the superficial, the desire to don a mask or dress something up to disguise its true nature, trying to be something you're not, chasing after every sparkly new thing, being mercurial. The Oracle's message. It's only human to want to adorn oneself in trinkets and paint the pretty picture of oneself. It's natural to want to acquire the trappings of status, or to deny them as a statement of rebellion. But if it sparkles, is it better? Whether it's a fast car, a big house, a title or position, the stamp of authority, or the sparkling of diamonds, these icons let you know something about a person, place, or thing. Or do they? The truth is that people seek to acquire things because of what they will do for them, and how they symbolically will elevate them and make them more attractive. This card signals that it's time to see beyond the adornments and probe beneath the surface. Learn to recognize the mask people wear and the motives underlying them. Imagine that all that glitters is gone. Would you still desire the object or person? So, like I was saying with that eclipse energy, if it's talking about something else, someone else rather, then yeah, certainly maybe some information will come to light about them. I almost feel like that'd be more likely to happen. Like I said, this recording is right before that full moon in Cancer, so maybe some information comes to light then, right? And you're trying to decide, well, what do I want to do with that information, right? Do I want to leave it behind, which could be what the Chariot represents, and then the Ten of Swords, do I want to just leave it behind and start something new? It's certainly a possibility, but what it was saying there as far as, focusing on trying to acquire all those material things, it almost reminds me of what I said to you guys about the Ten of Pentacles there, almost the cautionary part of it, which is to say, if you really do feel like you do want love in your life, but you're just so heavily career focused, maybe, yes, it does look like it'd be a challenge for you to figure out how to balance the two, but maybe you should be a bit more open to letting love into your life. And then maybe that's what this Sun card represents too, right? If we just look at the artwork there, it's like a child, right? It looks like they're happy. So maybe someone is bringing that energy into your life, and you're like, oh, should I, move forward with this or stay the course? And that could be where the confusion is for you. And like I said, with the North Node in your 7th house, usually if new relationships do seem to come around, they would be beneficial for your soul growth. So something to keep in mind there. All right, and then relationship message says sometimes we try to become something we're not to impress others. We embellish a story a bit, adding some dramatic elements to make us more appealing. The real person becomes hidden behind the sparkle and shine. Then there are times when we don't see the true value of someone else because he or she may not have the glitz and glamour that seems so desirable. Now is the time to look past the surface, beyond the mask, to the essence of a person. Who that person is, not what he or she has or can give you, is important. See beyond the glitter and look for the inner glow. Use the eyes in your heart. Let go of artifice and let what is authentic shine. So, to me, that let go of artifice and let what is authentic shine, that also reminds me of the Sun card there, too. It's like just that playful, authentic energy, right? So that could be what that's referring to there. And then the prosperity message says, sometimes an opportunity looks so good that it glitters like gold and you just can't resist it, especially when it appears others are doing so well and have hit the mother lode. During the American gold rush, everyone hurried west to find their fortune, and then deserted entire towns after the mining depleted the gold veins in the earth. So too can you deplete yourself as you chase after the latest shiny thing that has caught your eye. There is a mercurial quality to your present circumstances. Pay no attention to those who chase after fool's gold. Resist the temptation to be jealous of others. What they have achieved may not be the true success you seek, so don't compare yourself to them. You see only the surface right now, only the sparkle. Be assured that you will experience your own shining moment if you stick to what you know. All that glitters may not be gold for you. So all that glitters may not be gold for you. That makes me think of the Seven of Cups and the energy we mentioned there, which is, maybe not seeing things clearly. Maybe you see things as better than they are, or vice versa, right? So you just might have to analyze that a little bit more. And on the plus side, with Jupiter near 12th, I mentioned how it could play out potentially negatively, but also the positive side of that is it can increase your intuitive feelings. So really just might have to feel that out if that's the case. But yeah, that all that glitters and things not being as they seem also makes me think of that tower, and with it in the reverse, maybe with these eclipse energies, it's going to help things come to light for you in a less painful way than the tower would normally be in the upright, So something to keep in mind there. And then another thing that I'm starting this month is I actually have a new oracle deck that I'm going to be incorporating. It's the Spirit Animal Oracle. And the card you got from there is White Raven Spirit. And it says, trust in the magic. There's the artwork for it. And then the number is 66, if that has any significance for you. I'll read that message next. All right. It says, nothing in the universe is random, for the intricate web of co-creation weaves together all events and has done so since the beginning of time. Coincidences have meaning, and White Raven Spirit appears to remind you to pay attention to these synchronicities so that you might recognize patterns. Even the winds dance in a pattern, participating in the magic of Spirit's plan for all. Align with the highest good and intentions, and you will come to see that White Raven is guiding you, an ally to you and a messenger from Spirit. Align with the light, and you will start to recognize that all is working together harmoniously in ways the eye can't always see, and the mind can't always comprehend. The universe is conspiring on your behalf right now, drawing you to the light and bringing you the magic and miracles that are your birthright. Now is the time to trust in the magic of the world that is everywhere and in all things. Pay attention to how things come together as if by magic, and you will see the hand of Great Spirit arranging things in your favor. So the one thing that comes to my mind there is, like I said, if something that you really did find to be toxic is taken from your life, and then it seems like right on the heels of that something else comes up, that could be what it's kind of saying there as far as pay attention to how things come together as if by magic, and you will see the hand of Great Spirit arranging things in your favor, right? So that's certainly a possibility. And lastly, the last thing that I'm actually doing this month as well is pulling a mudra card for every sign. So this is what the actual mudra would look like if you wanted to attempt it. And basically mudras are more or less like a meditative position that you could take with your hands. Usually you hold them for at least 5 minutes, and then each of them, depending on the pose, they help with a certain energetic block, basically. So the name on this one says integration, and it's the Matsya mudra. And then I'll just show you guys the back of the card as well. It gives you a little more background on it and everything, if you wanted to take a screenshot of that, in case you did want to attempt it. But yeah, as far as the benefits, it says activates the body's self-healing potential, increases suppleness, improves concentration, generates feelings of devotion and compassion. So, maybe this will resonate for some of you. If it does, I'll put the name of the mudra, which is the Matsya mudra. I'll put it into the description as well, in case you guys want to look it up on Google if you want more info. I'm sure there's probably videos on YouTube for it as well. And like I said, it could, on the back of the card, it just says, in a comfortable seated position, lengthen the spine and relax the chest, shoulders, and belly. Hold the mudra in front of the abdomen and breathe naturally. Hold for 5 to 45 minutes. So yeah, that's what I was saying. Just a simple meditation you could do, basically, if that resonates for you. But yeah, we'll wrap up there. If you guys want a personal reading, you can check out the About section of my channel for more info on that. You could also check out my Instagram page, where we have a little bit more fun with tarot and astrology over there. But once again, happy birthday, guys, and I'll talk to you next month. Bye.